Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to this special broadcast on Sansad TV. I'm TEENA. A parliamentary delegation led by Speaker of the National Assembly of Bhutan, Wangchuk Namgyal, is currently on a visit to India. On Monday, the delegation visited the Parliament House and witnessed proceedings. They also met the presiding officers of both houses, Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankar and Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla. An MOU was also signed between the two parliaments. What is the MOU aimed at? What was the focus of the discussions that took place with the presiding officers? Also, how are both countries working towards taking the existing special relationship to new frontiers of partnership? We'll talk about all this and much more with the Speaker of the National Assembly of Bhutan, Mr. Wangchuk Namgyal. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your time. Welcome to Sansad TV. Let me begin by asking you first about your experience of having visited the Parliament. You and your delegation also met the presiding officers. If you could share some details about how it went.
Yeah, thank you so much. It has been really a big opportunity for the Parliament of Bhutan and my delegation to visit India. We visited the sessions in both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and it was very nice actually that we were able to go around, attend the session, though quite brief. But it has been a very good experience. We were taken around with the facilities that the Parliament is having to support the Member of Parliament to generate very healthy deliberations and debate.
An MOU was signed between parliaments of both countries. If you could share with us what the MOU is aimed at, how do we aim to strengthen parliamentary exchanges between both countries?
Yeah. So we had one memorandum of understanding 2011 itself. So yesterday we renewed that, and then I think it sets a base or a foundation for the two parliaments to have venture into a very strong partnership. It spells out. It also complements the long-standing deep friendship between the two countries. It spells out that whenever we have the collaborations and then the cooperations in the areas of mutual interest and concern, it also spells out, together we can explore into capacity building. It also spells out, to explore into the areas of, exchange programs, and also spells out that in the event in representation in the international, regional and international forum, both the countries can also explore into cooperations and collaborations in such areas.
So when you say collaborations and cooperations and taking them to a whole new level, how crucial is the role of these parliamentary exchanges?
It is, I feel it's very important. It's very important that as Parliament, we are check and balances. We also have oversight roles. We also, support the executive in many areas. So whenever there are regionals or international forums where we need to represent, we could stand on a similar view, or stand. So I thought from that angle, Parliament as advice to the executive also can be very crucial, very important. So I see from that angle.
Coming to the meetings now that you had with the two presiding officers and then with the External Affairs Minister one by one, what are the kind of issues that you discussed with the Vice President, who is also the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha?
Vice President, as expected, as a fatherly figure, has began. I thought he would begin something on a very official note, but he began describing my family, that I have 3 daughters. He began describing about my age, that I was born on the Independence Day of India. It was very fatherly figure and very touching. But I think what the message or the wisdom that I got from him was that it's not only important that the country-to-country bilateral relationship. He stressed on people-to-people relationship, and he stressed that that can be much, much deeper to explore in such areas.
Absolutely. Before I come to what happened during the meeting with the Lok Sabha Speaker, and since you mentioned people-to-people exchanges, we are very thick friends. India and Bhutan are reliable partners to each other, but there is a lot of potential in enhancing people-to-people connectivity and exchanges. So what do you think both countries should be doing to bring the peoples closer?
To bring people closer can happen only through cultural exchanges. So I think people from Bhutan can visit the cultural sites. Probably they can also, come here wherever there are possibilities to present our cultural performance. And similarly, it can happen in two ways, that people from India also can, come to Bhutan and then see the beauty of our country. They can also have, in past we used to have so many of such exchanges, and that can happen actually.
Absolutely.
And then I thought that is very important.
So, even though we've built upon the close civilizational and cultural connect that both countries share, there's a lot of scope and potential to further elevate these ties. Now, coming to your meeting with the Lok Sabha Speaker, and you also signed the MOU, you told us and our viewers about what the MOU is all about, but the important things that you discussed with the Lok Sabha Speaker.
Yeah, there are so many areas where he talked about in terms of capacity building, in terms of partnership that we need to enhance. But one unique thing which Lok Sabha Speaker, His Excellency Om Birla said was, he stressed a lot on the potential of youth, that we need to place excellent program for the youth. We need to, harness their potential. He stressed a lot on the youth. And I found it very, very relevant, very, very important.
Precisely because today India's biggest advantage is, our young demography. And a lot of our programs which the current government is devising is based on how to include more and more youth into this development journey. So if I can connect that with the journey of Bhutan, both India and Bhutan are witnessing a transformational, series of events in both countries. So while India, has aimed, and this is the period that the Prime Minister describes as Amrit Kal. So he says in the next 25 years, we must aim to become a developed country from a developing one. Bhutan aims to come in the high income group, and there is a series of transformative initiatives that Bhutan is also undertaking. So as friends, how do you see both countries collaborating with each other in this journey of development?
There was a stress on the importance to invest in youth. I was reflecting back in my country. In recent times, I think there is also a big emphasis on the to invest on the youth. Youths are given a lot of importance. So I thought that is very important. I was just thinking that both the countries can, venture into in the area of education and skill development.
Right.
Back in my country, there is a huge scope in that for India to invest, for India to support. I was just thinking that that can be a very good area, and we also send need in the areas of medicine, in scholarships. These are areas actually that can excellent area to explore to support the youth. We are making in transformation some shift from that of general education to more skill-oriented education.
Right.
So this is one area where both the countries can look into for collaboration.
And what about futuristic technologies? Digital partnership is something that we're already engaged
yes, very
in.
important.
But to take it to a whole new level, because the thrust clearly is on futuristic technologies like artificial intelligence.
Yes.
So how do you see both countries collaborating further?
Yes, I think here too, I think there's a huge scope to look into it, that things can be done much more efficiently by using technology, and then the country's development can be much faster if you rope in the potential of technology. So this can be, as you have rightly pointed out, this can be another area where both countries can explore into.
We keep hearing the Prime Minister and our top leadership. In fact, the Lok Sabha Speaker yesterday after meeting you, he said that India has assured Bhutan that it will continue to be a reliable partner in its development.
True.
And the Finance Minister recently announced the unit budget for 23-24, in which an amount of 2,400 crore rupees has been allocated for Bhutan. Right. And this amount constitutes about 41.04% of the MEA's development assistance. If you could share with us and our viewers, how is this being viewed in Bhutan by the younger generation specifically, the kind of, trust between both countries and the people in sharing this collective journey?
I think, I hope it will be viewed very positively in the sense that, India always had been very supportive to Bhutan, especially in economic development, in hydro power, areas. I'm sure it will be viewed very positively, especially so after COVID pandemic, where the countries, countries across the world couldn't do so much because pandemic had engulfed our economic activity for almost 2 years. Now we are getting up actually. So especially in this wake of this timely, I think such huge budgetary support, I feel is essential. But at the same time, we must also realize that that we need to also work hard to for self-reliance. I think it is a strong message that I feel that. India will be always supportive, but we also need to see that we also need to rely on ourselves more and more.
The kind of relationship, Mr. Speaker, that India and Bhutan share, it's a unique one. That it goes beyond friendship. And now we are looking at, and the Foreign Secretary just concluded his visit a few days ago to Bhutan. And I heard him say how now both countries are now aiming to take the relationship, in fact, explore new frontiers of partnership. So in that aspect, if I could understand from you, what are the newer areas of cooperation in which you spoke about education, you said energy cooperation, we also discussed digital partnership. But beyond that, is there anything new that is yet to be explored and in which you see there's a lot of potential still?
Yeah, besides that, I think we also need to look into trade, that Bhutan is an import-driven country. How the two countries can collaborate and see that promote export from Bhutan. So I feel that area can be a potential area to explore into, to find market in India for the Bhutanese product. I thought that is important. Other than the what you have said a moment ago about support in terms of ICTizations of the work that we do. I feel that is very important.
Since we are speaking about the areas of collaboration, the current state of relationship, if I could also ask you about what actually transpired when you met the External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar.
I think I found him very far-sighted, and then some of the areas that he talked about very simple, very doable. He also had given a lot of focus to the youth, that youth potential need to be harnessed, and then their upbringing has to be considered very seriously. So I think the wisdom that I got from him was to always invest and rely on the youth. And then they are very futuristic. They are the future builders. So we need to be very careful in their upbringing.
What are your expectations in terms of, because we keep talking about collaboration in a whole range of areas and newer areas of collaboration also, what is your expectation from India to channelize this, the current state that we have in terms of the youth you mentioned and in terms of the financial assistance that India provides to Bhutan in its development journey? So again, coming back to the core area of how to take it forward.
I always feel that as I shared with you a moment ago, that India can be a very potential, can offer Bhutan in terms of skill development. Now, in the transformative time in our country, this can be one big opportunity where India can offer. Now, when I say skill development, it can mean in many ways. Like India has plenty of excellent startup programs, and then many are taking up so well. I think Bhutan can look into it. The success stories in India, and is look into how we can replicate these success stories back in our country.
Our digital infrastructure has been remarkable, the manner in which it has expanded, and it's been accepted by people. What is the kind of response that you see among the youth in Bhutan? How willing or how open they are to the idea of adapting to these best practices?
I think youths, they are very open actually. They are very open, and then they welcome any digital transformation that takes place. They are very open. They welcome. It is just that sometimes due to budgetary constraints, that we are not able to offer up to the expectation. Otherwise, I think the youth of these modern days are actually very forthcoming. And then I was just thinking that if you're able to meet the expectation, this can take, transformation or development at very rapidly.
We've discussed far more, almost everything that we just spoke about the existing state of relationship, how we can take it forward. But if I come back again to the role of parliaments, and because parliaments, as we discussed earlier on in the program, they have to collaborate in a much more bigger way to fulfill the aspirations of people. So as the Indian Parliament, it reflects the collective will of 1.4 billion Indians. Our Parliament keeps saying that, our Parliament, the temple of democracy should be a place where discussions and debates happen. They give adequate representation to the people. So taking that idea forward, representing the collective will of people on this side and people on that side, how do you see parliaments collaborating in a much more engaged manner, in a much more bigger way in the times to come?
I think there's a huge scope for both the parliament to collaborate, and it can happen through capacity building. We acknowledge, we understand that India, the largest democracy, or the most oldest democracy, and Bhutan being the youngest, I think we can learn a lot from India. That's one area where we can see. Yesterday, we had been to Parliament Library, and there, I think there are so many important programs at there. The Pride Institution, that they conduct a lot of activity for the Member of Parliament. Right. This is one area where we can get into in terms of partnership. I think we can learn a lot from there, beside the exchange programs between the two Parliament. Probably, I do not know that all these interesting activities, the budget has to be approved from the Parliament. So debates and deliberations take in Parliament. And Parliament can look into, when we deliberate, we can look into these areas, how budgets are allocated. So,
in fact, as we speak, discussions are currently underway in both houses of Parliament on the motion of thanks to the President's address, and then following which the members of Parliament will also discuss the budget. So what, according to you, is the most interesting and unique thing about the Indian Parliament?
They're very open. First thing what I've observed from yesterday, and observed in person yesterday, and then even through news, parliamentary session, I am quite a regular observer of Indian Parliament. And what I found was that they are very open, and deliberations take place in the Parliament very openly. So this is something that I observed. So,
Mr. Speaker, as a student, you've spent a couple of years here in India. You've studied in Delhi, you studied back in Chennai, as you told me earlier. If you could, help us and our viewers understand from your perspective, what is the kind of change that you see in India of then to India of now?
I think there's a big change in terms of, the surrounding, that I was there some 25 or 30 years back, 25 years back, and now I think there's a big change in terms of surrounding, in terms of infrastructure. There's a huge change. So I think
change for the good?
Change for the good, definitely. Change for the good. And then I'm quite optimistic that, India, I can also feel that through all these changes, that India is a fast-growing country in terms of economy. And then it can one day be a leading nation in the world in terms of economy. It has, I feel that, somehow it made me to feel that India has a huge potential to be a leading member in the world.
But as the Prime Minister said, we do not want to grow alone. We want to grow along with everyone. As you know, he keeps asserting on the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family and we all should grow together. So the larger global good is the kind of message that India has been asserting. That's the theme of our G20 presidency also. I'll take one last question from you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, you're here on this visit. I wish you the very best for the remaining part. But until now, what has been the best memory that you carry back home?
Best memories are the visit to the parliament areas to see, the setup and then how things are functioning, the library resources that is there in place. So these are something that not only me, even with the delegation members that from my country, we were talking about that this is important. And then, of course, most important are the, wisdoms from the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha on, to focus more and more on people contact. And he said that will be the most sustainable thing to do.
Absolutely. I think that has to be the bedrock of relationship. People-to-people ties and enhancing them further in the times to come.
Yes, and to, give a lot of importance to the youth by Lok Sabha Speaker and Minister for External Affairs, and to explore into new ventures. But this is something that, we felt very strongly. Beside the, warm reception by the people, we are received very well. I think
all right,
that was very touching.
We hope that you and your delegation will enjoy the remaining part of your India visit as well. That having been said, I'll have to wind up the program. Thank you once again, Mr. Speaker, for joining us on the program today and sharing with us your experience about visiting the Parliament and how you look at the larger ambit of India-Bhutan relations. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, viewers, to you as well for your time. Keep watching Sansad TV.